There's a reason why some people remain unshaken, no matter what life throws at them. Chaos erupts, people betray them, plans fall apart, but they stand still, calm, unmoved, as if the storm never touched them. How is that possible? It's not luck, it's not denial, it's mastery. Carl Jung once said, "You are not what happens to you. You are how you respond to it." But most people, they live as if the world is attacking them. Every glance feels like judgment. Every silence feels like rejection. Every inconvenience feels personal. But what if nothing outside you actually has power over you? What if your reactions are not about the world, but about the parts of you that haven't healed yet? Today's video isn't just about psychology, it's about liberation. If you've ever wondered, why does this affect me so deeply? The answer isn't out there, it's within, and once you see it, once you truly understand it, nothing and no one will ever control your peace again. Most people live their lives in a constant battle with the world, trying to be liked, trying to be respected, trying to control what's never been in their control. And every time something goes wrong, they collapse, they blame the outside, they reacted without ever asking, what inside me is being exposed right now? Carl Jung didn't teach us to escape discomfort. He taught us to study it, to understand that every emotional reaction is not a weakness. It's information, because the storm isn't outside, it's inside. And the moment you stop running, you meet the only part of you that's truly in charge. Your perception. This video will show you how to take back that power. Not by suppressing emotion, but by mastering the one thing no one can touch, your response. And if you're ready to go deeper into this work, to truly reclaim your mind and emotional clarity, I've created a guide that goes far beyond what I'll say here. It's not just an ebook. It's a roadmap to self-mastery, built from Jungian psychology, real healing practices, and practical reflection tools. You'll find the link in the pinned comment below. And if you're serious about growth, subscribe now. This channel is for those who are done with emotional chaos and ready for mental freedom. Now take a breath, let everything fall silent, because what comes next has the power to change your entire inner world. The hidden prison of reaction. There's a reason why some people remain unshaken, no matter what life throws at them. The chaos, the insults, the disappointment, they rise above it all. Not by controlling the world, but by mastering themselves. Most people, they live on autopilot, reacting to everything. One look, one word, one silence, and suddenly, their peace is gone. But let's ask a brutal question. What if the real issue isn't what happens, but what it touches inside you? Carl Jung believed that we don't suffer because the world is cruel. We suffer because we are unconscious. We don't realize that we've built our lives around invisible wounds, triggers we don't understand, stories we never chose. And so we keep reacting to the same type of person, to the same painful dynamic, to the same emotional spiral, because deep down, a part of us still believes this pain is proof that I'm not enough. Someone disrespects you, and it cuts deeper than it should, not because of what they said, but because a part of you is still waiting to be seen. Someone pulls away, and you panic, not because of their absence, but because you've tied your worth to their presence. It's not the world that's hurting you. It's the meaning you've attached to it. Let that sink in. Two people can live the same moment. One collapses, the other transforms. The difference? Perception. This is what Jung called shadow work. The practice of facing the unconscious beliefs that shape your emotional reality. Because as long as you avoid your shadow, it controls you. Think about the last time you overreacted. Was it truly about that moment, or did it activate something much older? Maybe it was the feeling of being dismissed, or the fear of not mattering, or that familiar ache of being invisible. These aren't random emotions, they're signals, and they're pointing to a very specific truth. You are not reacting to life, you are reacting to what you haven't healed. But instead of facing that, most people run, they project, they blame, they overanalyze. They look for villains in every story, never realizing that the real enemy is the pattern repeating inside them. Let's be honest. It's easier to say, that person hurt me, than to ask, why does this hurt so much? It's easier to scroll, to vent, to numb, than to pause and feel. But until you stop, until you face what's underneath the trigger, you will keep living as a prisoner of your reactions. And here's the cost. You'll constantly depend on other people to validate your worth. You'll avoid conflict, not out of peace, but out of fear. You'll try to control outcomes because the unknown feels like danger. But the truth is, you were never meant to control the world. You were meant to master your response to it. Let's talk neuroscience. Your brain is a pattern recognition machine. When you react the same way again and again, you carve a neural pathway, and soon your reactions aren't choices. They're habits, automatic, unconscious. So when someone criticizes you, you don't stop to assess. You spiral, because your brain is trained to interpret criticism as danger. But here's the good news. The brain can be retrained. New pathways can be built, and that begins with awareness. It begins the moment you pause, the moment you notice the trigger, and instead of collapsing into it, you breathe. You watch it rise. You feel it fully, but you don't act on it. That pause is your liberation. It's where the unconscious becomes conscious. It's where you stop reacting like the wounded child and start responding like the healed adult. Let's go deeper. Most people identify with a false self, a fragile construction built on what others thought of them. They crave approval. They panic when they're misunderstood. They need things to go just right to feel safe. But none of that is real strength. It's survival mode in disguise, and the moment life stops cooperating, they fall apart. But imagine this. Someone insults you, and you don't flinch. Someone pulls away, and you stay grounded. Plans fall apart, and you adapt without losing yourself. That's not coldness, that's mastery, because true strength isn't about being untouchable. It's about being unshakable, and that strength comes from one place. Self-awareness, not fake positivity, not control, not perfection, but the quiet, steady clarity of a person who knows, I am not my emotions. I am not what others think. I am not here to perform. I am here to live. From truth. The moment you stop reacting blindly, you take back your power. Because in that stillness, you remember, you are not the pain. You are the presence holding it. And from that presence, you can finally begin to heal the architecture of calm. Reprogramming your mind for emotional sovereignty. Imagine this. You walk down the street and someone throws an insult your way. Do you feel the urge to react, to prove your worth, to defend yourself? Most people do, because they don't realize the reaction isn't caused by the insult. It's caused by what the insult touches inside them. Carl Jung knew this well. He taught that nothing from the outside truly affects you unless it finds something unresolved within. So when someone calls you a failure and it hits hard, it's not because of the word, it's because a part of you believes it might be true. This is the key. You're not reacting to people. You're reacting to your own shadow, your unhealed past, your unmet needs, your invisible beliefs. The world doesn't control your emotions, your mind does. But most minds are not trained for freedom. They're wired for survival, for patterns, for reaction. That's why so many feel like they're being dragged through life instead of choosing it. Every situation becomes a test. Every person becomes a threat. Every outcome becomes a verdict on your worth. And slowly, without knowing it, you build your life around defense. You walk on eggshells. You anticipate rejection. You avoid truth just to avoid discomfort. But here's a radical truth. You can rewire your nervous system for peace. You can reprogram your brain to respond without reacting. It begins with awareness. You must become the observer of your mind, not its prisoner. Let's break this down. You feel rejected. The mind says, I'm not lovable. Your body tenses, your breath shortens, you spiral. But if you pause just for a moment and ask, is this reaction coming from now or from something older? Everything starts to shift, because now you've stepped out of the script. You've interrupted the program. You've chosen consciousness over conditioning, and that choice, it's the doorway to sovereignty. It's the moment you stop handing your peace to the external world. Think of it this way. If you need people to behave a certain way for you to stay calm, you're not free. If you need outcomes to match your expectations to feel safe, you're not grounded. If you depend on validation to feel worthy, you're not connected to yourself. True calm doesn't come from what's around you. It comes from what's anchored inside you. And that anchor is built through discipline. You retrain your nervous system by facing discomfort without flinching. You teach your body, this sensation is not danger. This emotion is not a threat. I can feel it without being consumed by it. This is not numbness. This is mastery, and it's something you build brick by brick. When someone disrespects you, pause, observe, notice the story rising inside. Is it, I'm not enough? Is it, I must prove myself? Catch it, and then decide, do I want to react from this story or respond from my truth? That's reprogramming. It's not suppressing emotion. It's meeting emotion with intention. It's understanding that a trigger is not a command, it's an invitation to look deeper, to heal, to grow. Jung taught that the unconscious rules your life until you bring it to light. So bring it to light. Every time you feel hijacked by emotion, ask, what is this really about? Not just the surface, not just the person in front of you, but the root. Is it abandonment? Is it shame? Is it fear? And then breathe. You're not broken. You're just running an outdated program. One you didn't choose, but now you get to choose. You get to create a new baseline, not one built on pain, people-pleasing, or fear, but one built on presence. Presence says, I see this reaction, but I'm not ruled by it. I feel this emotion, but I know where it comes from. I notice this trigger, but I am not it. This is the practice. And yes, it takes time, but every moment you choose presence over programming, you are rewriting your inner reality. And over time, you become untouchable. Not because nothing bothers you, but because nothing owns you. You stop defending. You stop explaining. You stop performing for a world that never learned how to hold your truth. You simply are, grounded, clear, unshaken, and people will notice. Some will test you. Some will admire you. Some won't understand. But you'll no longer need their permission to feel whole, because now you are self-led. You've stopped asking the world to behave so you can be okay, and you've started building a mind that stays calm, regardless of the noise. That's not just growth, that's freedom. Becoming the mountain, the final shift to emotional mastery. There comes a moment when your healing becomes quiet. You're no longer trying to prove anything. You're no longer chasing love, peace, or validation. You simply become unshakable, not because you've escaped pain, but because you've stopped making pain your identity. This is what it means to become the mountain. Carl Jung understood this deeply. He knew that healing wasn't about escaping your wounds, but about integrating them so fully that they no longer run your life. And that's what emotional mastery is. It's not control. It's not perfection. It's presence under pressure. Let's be honest. Most people spend their entire lives trying to control the external. They want everyone to like them. They want life to go as planned. They want things to feel safe. And when that doesn't happen, they fall apart, not because of the situation, but because they've attached their peace to things they can't control. But what if peace had nothing to do with what's outside you? What if true strength was built on one principle? I don't need the world to be different in order to be okay. Read that again. Because the day you stop needing people to act a certain way, the day you stop requiring outcomes to match your desires, is the day you become free. You stop shrinking when criticized. You stop panicking when plans fall through. You stop fighting life and start flowing with it. And that shift is everything. Let's bring it into real life. Imagine someone betrays you. Old you spirals, obsessively overthinks, feels broken. New you still feels, still hurts, but doesn't collapse. You step back, you observe, you process, and then you ask, what is this teaching me? What does this activate in me? What am I being invited to release? This is mastery. It's not coldness, it's not numbness, it's clarity. Because now you see pain as a message, not a punishment. You understand that every trigger is a teacher, every disappointment is a recalibration, every moment of discomfort is an opportunity to choose differently. This is the power of emotional neutrality, not detachment in the sense of apathy, but detachment from identity. You no longer are the reaction. You have a reaction. You feel it. You witness it. But you don't become it, and that makes you powerful, because now people can throw chaos at you and you don't absorb it. Situations can fall apart, and you stay centered. You lose the thing you thought you needed and still know who you are. That's the mountain, unmoved by the wind, unshaken by the storm, still, solid, grounded in truth. You don't get there by escaping life. You get there by meeting life over and over, without abandoning yourself. This is not the popular path. It's not the one with the applause. It's not easy, but it's real, and it's the only path that leads to sustainable peace. Because here's what most people miss. You don't find peace. You become the kind of person who doesn't lose it. You build it in silence, in solitude. In every private moment, you choose to stay with yourself instead of running back to old patterns. It's when you breathe instead of blame, when you reflect instead of react, when you allow discomfort instead of avoiding it. That's when the rewiring happens. And yes, people around you may not understand this new version of you. They may call you distant, too calm, too quiet. Let them. They're used to your chaos. They're used to the version of you that needed permission to exist. But that version is gone now, because you've chosen to build a new relationship with yourself. One based on trust, one based on sovereignty, one where you no longer beg the world to treat you gently, because you know how to hold yourself through the storm. And if you need a reminder, you are not your wounds, you are not your triggers, you are not your fears. You are the one watching all of it, and that observer. That is your true self, still wise, unafraid, and the more you live from that self, the more peaceful your life becomes, not because the world changed, but because you stopped needing it to. You stopped giving your power away. You stopped arguing with reality. You stopped personalizing everything. You understood, this is not about me, this is about my perception, and from that place, you became whole, not perfect, not invincible, but grounded, present, unshakably yourself. So what's the final step? Keep choosing this path every day, every trigger, every moment, because mastery isn't a finish line, it's a way of living. It's the moment you realize, I don't need to fight for peace anymore. I've become it. The moment you remember who you are, you didn't come here to be reactive, to be tossed around by opinions, to shrink every time the world forgets how to see your worth. You came here to remember, to return, to reclaim. And maybe no one ever taught you how to do that. Maybe no one ever showed you how to stay calm when the storm hits, how to sit with your emotions without drowning in them, how to hold space for your pain without making it your identity. But you're learning now. You're seeing that peace isn't about silence around you, it's about silence within you, silence. A deep-rooted presence that no one can steal. The people who seem untouchable aren't lucky. They're devoted. They chose to stop handing their power to things they can't control. They stopped explaining themselves, stopped chasing approval, stopped reacting, and started responding. And you're becoming one of them. You're not broken, you're becoming whole. So let this be your turning point, the moment you stop trying to change the world, and instead change the way you meet the world, the moment you stop asking, why does this keep happening to me, and start asking, what inside me keeps responding this way? The moment you stop running from your shadow and start walking beside it with grace. And if you're ready to take this even deeper, I created something just for you. The Depths of Self-Mastery ebook is a transformational guide filled with emotional tools, shadow work prompts, and inner wisdom practices to help you navigate life from your truth, not your trauma. It's not for everyone. But if your soul whispered yes at any moment in this video, then you already know it's for you. You'll find the link in the pinned comment below. And if this message stirred something inside you, don't walk away like nothing happened. Subscribe now because this space exists for people like you. People who are done surviving and finally ready to live fully, fearlessly, freely.